All right, let's dive in. So you sent over some really intriguing stuff for this deep dive, the Pink Album, you called it. Notes, lyrics, the whole thing. And it's all about this character, this Liz.
Yeah.
And wow, it's like a whole concept album, right? All inspired by her.
Exactly. It's actually super interesting how you chose music to explore, this side of yourself, this subpersonality. And it's not just like one kind of music. We've got jazz rap and French dance pop. There's even some gothic blues in there.
It's such a range.
It is a huge range.
It already tells us so much about Liz, I think. Like she's not just a simple, one-note kind of character, right?
Right.
So who is she based on these notes?
Well, the notes describe Liz as kind of an anti-heroine.
Okay.
Someone who sees typical things like desire, love, romance. She doesn't see those as emotions, really, but more like tools, tools for power, for control.
Well, that's not your typical, love song protagonist or anything?
No, not at all.
This is someone who's actively using these concepts to get what she wants.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's this whole Queen of Chaos energy in the notes, too, right?
Definitely.
Like, she's adaptable, she changes, transforms, and she's always going after luxury, pleasure, no matter the cost.
It even says she's not too worried about the consequences.
Ooh, okay. This is going to be good. That's a recipe for some serious drama.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the music. I mean, what better place to start than with, I've got money on the Starbucks app.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's catchy as hell, but what's the deeper meaning?
So on the surface, it's kind of lighthearted, playful, maybe even a little, tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
But if you look at some of the lines, like price tag heavy, but the vibe's habitual, it reveals a lot about Liz, actually.
Okay.
I mean, it shows us her dedication to indulgence, like no matter the cost, she's going for it.
Yeah.
But I think it hints at something deeper, too.
Like what?
Well, this idea of instant gratification. In Liz's world, desires should be met immediately.
Like no waiting.
No waiting, no effort. And that Starbucks app, it's a symbol, in a way, of her power to just get whatever she wants whenever she wants it.
That's really interesting. I'm starting to see it. And then there are these two French tracks, Hypnotic and Télécommande.
Oh, yeah.
What's the vibe with Liz here?
Well, these songs are all about her magnetism, how she just draws people in. But it's not just charm. It's more calculated than that.
So you're saying it's like she's intentionally using this allure to influence people, to control them.
Exactly. It's almost like she's playing chess, but instead of pieces, she's moving people around.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah, and the lyrics are full of words like hypnotic, magnetic, remote control.
So she's not just attracting them, she's like orchestrating.
Exactly.
So there's definitely a darker side to her charisma.
For sure.
And speaking of dark, La Jonde. This one really shifts the tone.
Yeah, big time.
It's intense.
It is. The song really paints Liz as the ultimate predator. She's like this, this giant in a game of cat and mouse, but the stakes are really high. And then there's that line, end of the road, little mouse, you're mine.
Yeah, that is a chilling line.
Yeah, almost predatory,
It's like she's reveling in her power, her ability to kind of trap and consume. Then we get, it's not you, it's me. I mean, it's such a classic breakup line, but coming from Liz, it feels different.
Right. Totally. Because for Liz, she's not just ending a relationship, she's disrupting it.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
And the lyrics explain why. She sings, love is just a ladder climber, be tossed. You can't win this game without someone else's loss.
Whoa. So love, to her, is just another tool.
Yeah.
And she's going to use it to her advantage.
Exactly.
God, that is cold.
Yeah.
So it's like she sees relationships as this, zero-sum game, and she's determined to come out on top.
Exactly. Now, what about spoiled brats? This one feels like a commentary on, wealth and privilege, doesn't it?
Totally. It's like you said earlier, instant gratification just taken to the extreme.
Yeah.
Liz and her crew are living in this bubble, completely detached from the consequences that most people face.
And it's not just about, material stuff.
Right.
This detachment, this being above it all, it affects how they see the world.
Yeah, and that lyric, Daddy's money, but we call it our own, it just shows how they've never really had to face any challenges.
And without challenges, there's no growth.
Yeah.
No empathy. And that leads to a really distorted view of reality.
Okay, so we've got Liz indulging, she's controlling, even preying on others. And then we get to, I don't give a damn.
Oh, yeah.
What a statement.
This song is pure rebellion. Liz is embracing her chaos, just throwing all those societal norms right out the window.
Yeah.
We hear it in lines like, "Queen of the chaos, I own my name," and "Life's too short, honey, what can I say?"
Yeah, those are great lines. It's like her manifesto.
Right, for her own brand of individuality.
Yeah. It's like she's saying, if you try to put me in a box, I'm going to blow up the whole factory.
Exactly. And that defiance, it's exciting, but also kind of terrifying.
It definitely is both. So after all this chaos, Liz builds her queendom. What's going on in this one?
Well, this is where we see Liz's vision come to life. She's built a world based on her rules, her desires. It's all about luxury, absolute control.
But those lyrics, they crave my kingdom but dare not be bold, and then, but beware the box I keep locked tight. Those who defy me are gone from sight. That's dark, man.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a darkness lurking underneath.
It's like a paradise, but it's also a gilded cage.
Exactly. You enter her world, you play by her rules.
You're subject to her whims.
Yeah.
So it's a queendom built on fear as much as, like, admiration.
Sure.
Intense stuff.
It makes you wonder, though, is Liz really happy in this world she's created?
That's a good question. Or does she crave something more? Something real?
Right. And speaking of craving something more, Shapeshifter, this song's a journal.
Yeah.
Like a coming-of-age story, but with a much darker edge to it.
Oh, I like that. So where does it start?
It starts with this feeling of being trapped. Born into castles, chained to the throne, locked in a tower, all they see is gold.
So she's trapped by expectations, by her own life, really.
Exactly, but then she breaks free.
And she says, in a world of beasts, I've nothing to prove. Eat or be eaten, I won't become food.
That's so powerful.
I think this is.
It's like she's saying, I'm done being the prey, I'm going to be the predator.
Wow. So she goes from a gilded cage to ruling her own queendom, and somewhere in between, she becomes the beast.
Yeah.
That is a lot to unpack.
It is. And the final song, The Tiger and the Mouse, takes us right to the heart of Liz's darkness.
Just the title.
I know, right?
It's intense. So what's happening in this one?
Well, it's all about contrasts. You've got this elegant, powerful tiger, right, that represents Liz.
At the height of her power.
Yeah, and then there's this helpless mouse representing her, well, her victims, her indulgences. It's really vivid imagery, almost violent.
Like the lyrics, it cracks, it crunches, oozes, sweet, a fleeting soul, its fate complete.
Right, intense. It's like she's getting this thrill from this act of consumption, of domination.
But then there's this emptiness that comes after.
Exactly. The thrill is gone. There's none to show.
So even in this world that she's built, there's this feeling of dissatisfaction, a hunger that can never really be satisfying.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
It is. What are your, initial thoughts? I mean, we've seen Liz's desires, her power plays, this dark side of her queendom. But what's your take so far?
Well, it's amazing how you've used all these different musical styles, these genres, to really show how complex she is.
Yeah.
She's attractive and repulsive,
Yeah.
powerful and vulnerable. It's this constant push and pull, and that's what makes her so interesting.
And I think you're really getting to the heart of what drives her, the underlying forces that shape her choices. And maybe that's the key to understanding Liz, right? It's not just about what she does,
Right.
but why she does it.
Exactly.
And I am so excited to keep exploring that with you.
Yeah, me too.
We've only just scratched the surface.
We have. As we kind of dig deeper into the Pink album, there's one thing that's really striking me. It's how you've put the whole narrative together.
Okay.
It's not this simple, straightforward story.
Yeah.
It's more like, well, a spiral almost.
Oh, interesting.
Circling around Liz's core desires and then all the consequences that come from those desires.
That's a cool way to think about it. Like we're, I don't know, peeling back layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Or like unraveling this big tangled knot.
Yeah.
And with each layer, with each twist, we get a little closer to understanding Liz.
Exactly.
Because she is an enigma.
She is. And one of the things I find so interesting about her is this tension between her need for control and then at the same time embracing chaos.
It's a paradox.
It is a paradox. And it seems to be behind everything she does.
Yeah. Yeah. Like she needs both of those things to really thrive.
Yeah.
The control that gives her power, right? Security in a world that can feel really unpredictable. But the chaos, that's where she finds her freedom.
Right.
To break free from what people expect.
Yeah.
To assert her own will.
It's really fascinating. And think about, it's not you, it's me. Again, on the surface, just a breakup song.
Right.
But when we look closer, it shows this deeper need in Liz to disrupt things, to shake things up. It's not just about ending this one relationship.
It's bigger than that.
It's about her agency. her power to change the whole game.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So she's addicted to this thrill of the unexpected.
Yeah, I think so. Even in her queendom, there's this unease.
Oh, totally.
Like things could fall apart at any moment.
Yeah.
It made me think of that line from My Queendom, they crave my kingdom, but dare not be bold.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So Liz created this world of order, beauty, but it's built on fear, too.
Her subjects admire her, but they're also kind of scared of her.
Exactly. Afraid of her power and, how unpredictable she can be.
It's like she's walking this tightrope between order and chaos. And the more control she has, the more she craves that release.
Yeah.
To shake things up.
It's a dangerous game.
Yeah, but that's what makes her so interesting to us.
Totally.
Right? We're drawn to her confidence, her audacity.
Yeah.
Even when we see that potential for, destruction.
Exactly. So where does it all come from, this need for control and chaos?
That is the question.
Is it just part of who she is? Or is it because of her environment, how she grew up? That's something that comes up throughout the whole album.
Yeah?
Think about spoiled brats compared to shapeshifter.
Okay, yeah, good point. So in Spoiled Brats, we see Liz and her crew, right? They're indulging in their wealth, privilege, totally detached from reality.
Like consequences don't apply to them.
Yeah, like daddy's money, but we call it our own.
That line sums it up perfectly.
It does.
They've never struggled.
Never faced real hardship.
And that can really affect how someone grows.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It can make you feel invincible, like you're above the rules.
Right, but then in Shapeshifter, it's different.
Totally different. There, she's dealing with another kind of constraint.
Okay.
It's all the expectations and limits that society puts on her.
Because of who she is.
Yeah. She sings, born into castles, chained to the throne, locked in a tower, all they see is gold. So she's trapped by her own privilege.
In this gilded cage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what pushes her to change. In a world of beasts, I have nothing to prove. Eat or be eaten, I won't become food.
So she's choosing to be the predator.
Yeah.
Not the prey.
She's breaking free from those expectations.
It's like she's saying, if you're going to treat me like an animal, I'm going to be the most dangerous one out there.
Exactly. And that's the key to understanding her.
Okay.
It's not just about indulgence or chaos, just for fun. It's about her taking back her power.
Yeah.
Defining who she is on her own terms.
It makes me wonder if it's all a rebellion, in a way.
Oh, interesting.
Against all these pressures she's faced, She refuses to be the princess in the tower, waiting for someone else to decide her fate.
I think you're right. She's rejecting all these traditional stories, especially for a woman like her.
Yeah.
She's making her own story.
Even if it means embracing this darker side of herself.
Right.
But is it leading her to fulfillment or to self-destruction?
I think that's the core of the Pink Album.
Yeah.
And it's a question every listener has to answer for themselves.
And you've used music so cleverly to explore all of this.
Yeah.
And the way it goes from playful pop to this dark blues, French whispers, to these powerful rap verses. It's like we're experiencing all of Liz's emotions.
The music isn't just background noise.
Really?
It's part of the story.
Yeah.
The genres you picked, they reflect Liz's personality, her struggles, her vulnerability, even when she's being calculating and powerful.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's why this character resonates so much, I think. We see ourselves in her ambition, her desire for freedom, even those dark impulses.
Exactly. And by showing those darker parts,
The Pink Album makes us think about our own fascination with power, control, and all the things we're not supposed to want.
Oh, that's so good.
Right. So as we move into the last part of our deep dive, what are some of the big questions we should keep in mind?
Yeah, what's the takeaway so far?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Liz is full of contradictions.
Okay.
She wants control, but needs chaos. She wants love, but uses it as a weapon. She comes from privilege, but feels trapped by it. And this constant push and pull, that's what makes her so compelling.
Those contradictions make her feel real. And I'm curious to see how it all plays out in the final act.
Yeah, me too.
Does she find some kind of balance? Does she give in to those darker urges?
Right.
Or does she pay the price for everything she's done?
Those are great questions, and I think the answers are hidden in those last few songs.
Well, let's get to it then. Join us as we finish our deep dive into Liz's world.
We'll explore the consequences of her choices and the ultimate price of her queendom. So, as we get into this last part of the Pink Album, there's this question I can't shake.
Yeah.
We've seen Liz at her best, right?
Yeah.
Indulging, ruling her queendom, even becoming this powerful, like mythical figure.
Right.
But what about the downsides? What's the price of all this power and indulgence?
It's the big question, isn't it? I mean, Liz seems to have everything.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the lyrics, there's this dark side.
Okay, yeah.
A sense of emptiness, maybe even isolation.
Like that saying, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
Liz has it all: wealth, adoration, control.
Yeah.
But is she really fulfilled?
I think my queendom gives us a clue.
Yeah.
She sings, "They crave my kingdom, but dare not be bold." It's like even in this paradise, there's distance between her and everyone else.
Oh, interesting.
They're afraid of her, maybe?
Afraid of her power.
Yeah. And that unpredictability.
So it's like this gilded cage,
Yeah.
and she's stuck inside, surrounded by people, but still alone.
It's a powerful image. And it says a lot about real connection, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like you can't force intimacy with power or control.
It makes me think of that line from Shapeshifter, "Am I the monster I swore to escape?"
Oh, yeah.
It's like she's seeing herself and doesn't like what she sees.
Right, like she's questioning everything.
Yeah. So has this transformation, this whole journey, has it really set her free? Or is it just another kind of prison, one that she built for herself?
And that brings us to The Tiger and the Mouse.
Yeah.
The last song on the album. This one takes us deep into that idea of indulgence.
Yeah.
And how fleeting pleasure really is.
It is unsettling, even disturbing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just the title is enough to give you chills.
Totally. Break it down for us. What's going on here?
Well, it's all about these contrasts. We've got this majestic tiger full of power. That's Liz at her peak.
Right.
And then this little mouse, totally helpless. That represents, I think, what Liz consumes, her victims.
Yeah, I see it.
And the imagery is brutal. It cracks, it crunches, oozes sweet. A fleeting soul, its fate complete.
Those lyrics are intense.
Aren't they?
It's like she gets off on the domination, the consumption, but then there's this emptiness.
Exactly. The thrill is gone. There's none to show.
So even for Liz, pleasure can't really fill that void.
Right,
It's like a warning
Yeah,
that chasing pleasure for its own sake leaves you empty.
it does. So does Liz learn anything?
Yeah, does she find redemption?
I don't think the Pink Album gives us a clear answer.
Okay.
It's not that kind of story. It's more about presenting this complex character with all her flaws
Yeah.
and letting us decide what to think.
It's like you're holding up this mirror to our own fascination with power, with ambition, with things we shouldn't want.
Exactly.
And it makes us question ourselves, our own desires, our boundaries.
It does, and it makes us think about the consequences, not
Yeah.
just for ourselves, but for the people around us.
Because we all have tigers and mice in our own lives, right?
So we do.
It's about the choices we make,
Yeah.
the people we influence, the impact we have.
That's a really powerful point.
So maybe the biggest takeaway is this need for self-awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
To really understand why we do what we do and what it means for the world.
It's a lot to think about.
So, final verdict,
Yeah.
Liz Hero. Villain.
It's not that simple, is it? She's a product of her world, her choices,
Yeah.
capable of great things and terrible things. She's attractive but scary, powerful but fragile. And it's up to each listener to decide what they think.
That's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting.
Yeah.
You gave us the pieces to understand her world, but you didn't tell us how to feel about it.
Right.
It makes you think, makes you question things,
Yeah.
and you connect with the story in your own way.
And that's what art is supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
It starts conversations, makes you think, and helps us connect with each other.
Even if it's about uncomfortable things.
Exactly. So, to our listener, thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, thank you.
The Pink Album is an amazing journey
It is.
into human desire and the complexities of power.
It's a story that'll stick with you,
It will.
and we want to hear what you think.
Yeah. What parts stood out? What made you think differently?
Keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep diving deep.